Welcome back to another segment of the Lads podcast. This is me, your host, Jivan, and today I'm joined by my co host, of course, as always, John, Marcus, and Volob.
How you
And
doing?
this, yep,
Hello.
What's up?
and this week's special guest is none other than the legend himself, Mr. DC.
Well, thank you for having me, gentlemen. It's
Yeah,
an absolute pleasure to be here.
thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
We're going to talk about many interesting topics, and I believe it's going to be a loads of fun. So, shall we start?
Sure, let's go.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Okay. So our first thing that I want to dive into is about the on-raging the novel coronavirus. I mean, a lot of infected people. There's been a lot of deaths, but also a lot of people are recovered. I mean, 228,000 people recovered, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
That is amazing. And what do you guys
Absolutely.
think about that? Oh, we'll start with our guest speaker, Mr. DC.
Okay. Well, thank you, G-Man. I, it's great that so many people are recovering. There
Yeah.
does seem to be a wide range of reaction to the virus, which to me suggests there's already mutations within this virus.
Mhm.
I, Personally, I've got friends back in the UK who've had it and recovered. One of them ended up in hospital for just a checkup. One of the others said if you put it on a scale of 1 to 10 and flu was 10,
Yeah.
it was only 2 days of feeling sort of 6.
Really?
So it's very interesting, yeah. And then how my perspective of the virus has been changed by hearing these people who have had it and recovered.
Mhm.
So I and also I'm like to sort of focus on these death numbers. Always sound big because we're talking about deaths, but how do those numbers compare to the amount of people who aren't being hit by car crashes because the number of people on the roads have gone down?
True.
Um,
Mhm.
Yeah.
as I understand it, in China, in the original province,
Mhm.
less people were dying from the virus
Mhm.
than most years die from the air pollution. So they actually had a net gain in people.
Huh.
That's
That's interesting.
interesting. But also at the
Yeah.
same time, I mean, what is it? The pollution is going down very low. It's right now very low in China, and I mean in New Delhi also, one of the most
Yeah.
polluted cities. It's gone to a really low, staggering amount. They didn't even see this coming. Even like
So
they, yeah.
That is
I
true.
mean, yeah.
But the
Well,
but the question is if what actually happens after like the virus is like de-escalated. Like, do countries actually now go back to like are they gonna go back to 100% and just pollute the area again? Getting like making just going back to their normal, or are they actually going to try and change something? Like that's the most important like thing after the virus is over, right?
yeah, what have we learned from the virus?
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I feel like they're gonna change, but not in the amount they produce. I don't think that's how it's gonna start off. But definitely, they're gonna reconsider dependency on China as it's you could say the mother of all production. I
Yeah.
think they're gonna start relocating to possibly more expensive, but still quite cheap locations such as South America, so that the dependency on China isn't as much because we saw a huge economic drop, you could say, during these past few months. So, but about how much they're going to produce, I have no idea. I don't think they'll reduce it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well,
Sounds
the
about
world is currently sort of desperate to get the economy back up and running.
Yeah.
As I understand from the documentaries I've seen, that the hit to the economy from the coronavirus makes the 2008 global credit crunch
Mhm.
seem really quite relatively small.
Yeah.
There was a drop of about 8% in the world economy back in 2008. It's gone
Mhm.
down 20% on some of the major stock
Mhm.
exchanges. So this is turning into an economic disaster rather than just
Mhm.
a health disaster.
Yeah.
And so now we're going to be able to equate rather than deaths from virus versus monetary loss. It's actually going to turn into deaths of people suffering from poverty, deaths of people suffering from depression suicide rates are going to go up because we're out of jobs compared to deaths from the virus. And as soon as we get that like for like deaths for deaths, I think everyone is going to free up their lockdowns, pretty quickly to get everyone back out there and get working again.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, go on. I mean, we're living in one of the best countries. I mean, we won't really see those effects too. I mean, there'll be probably more job portals opening in Switzerland, but I mean, in those third world countries and where these populations are so high, it'll be so difficult. I mean, and as you said, those suicide rates will go higher and all of that. But yeah, I mean, there's not much we can do from here. But
I think you made a very good point. We just have to rejoice in the fact we are in a country that is incredibly well equipped to deal with this and incredibly resilient. It will come back quicker than most others.
Yeah.
Even if you look at like the money the national bank has, like there's like no problem in like the economy breaking down or anything. Also, just because of like how stable the Swiss franc is, they can also easily start printing money again without actually impacting it too much. So
very true.
And they're huge famous gold reserves to back everything up.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, we are, as the world is concerned, we are in a great place to be.
Yeah.
This is brought home to me. My sister is in South Africa, and she is now on full lockdown. She's not allowed to take her dog for a walk because walking your dog is seen as a privilege of the white minority, wealthy, middle class group. So they're not allowed to do that, and as soon as you leave the house, by law, you now have to have a mask on. And they've realized that they don't have that resilience. Their economy is going to deal with the number of people going into hospital is going to be a big percentage of their economic turnover. And South Africa is one of the wealthiest of the African nations. So if it's bad news there, when you look into sub-Saharan Africa, we're in a good place.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about resilient cities in geo, and talking about geo, we have a question that we've been wanting to ask for a very, very long time.
Yes.
Okay, I wonder when you get onto that. Go on.
Yeah. So I'm in one class, Marcus is in the other class, and you teach both of those classes. Which class is your favorite class?
And don't give us you like both equally.
We don't want any of those petty answers.
Come on, I have two small children as well, and each class is very similar to one of each. I cannot.
We don't know about that.
Hide behind your children.
Of course, I will prefer one more than the other at times. That is as natural. The big difference between the two classes is one class there's 22 of you, and the other class there's 11. So in a class of 11, it can be there's sort of less pressure in classroom management terms. There's less pressure in terms of mark load. So it's quite nice to have that sort of intimacy of that size and number. But that said, some of the characters in the big class, I'm probably laughing more often.
Could you please clarify for those not in geo class?
Okay, that's Marcus's class probably make me laugh more often.
I can see how.
I mean, in our class, there's only two people talking. Okay, so I don't really see.
Okay.
Jivan, just accept the answer. He said Marcus's class.
No. But the ultimate payoff as a teacher comes on July the 5th or 6th, whenever it is, when you guys get your results. And I reckon the averages from the two classes are going to be so close. But with 11, you'd hope that class will top the averages. So on that day, I will probably drink a few more drinks to say well done, Jivan and team.
Yeah.
To be honest,
we took the trophy. Yeah.
I'm spoilt. I'm spoilt with choices this year because the whole grade. I don't want to be too sycophantic. But this grade is cracking. From a CAS coordinator point of view, you've done such a top job with CAS. I've had a chat with Mr. Tret, and I'm going to launch this Christmas present idea that you can finish your CAS early because you've done such a great job. So I'm enjoying teaching grade 11 as a whole, but we do laugh more often in one class than the other.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like everyone has been doing pretty good with CAS then. I mean, that's a joy to hear.
I say everyone, there's that 80% who are doing a top job.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I think it's a good time because off camera there are people pointing fingers. I think it's a great time to switch on to our game section of the podcast.
Yeah.
So I told you this off camera, Mr. DC. Since you're our first teacher and a very special guest to us, you do have the choice of choosing between 2 truths and a lie and a meme review, and I believe you've chosen 2 truths and a lie. Am I right?
Yes, please. What a great game.
Perfect. Okay, so yeah.
Who's going to start?
Yeah, would you like to start us off, or
me?
I can start off too.
All right.
Go,
all right.
Marcus. Go,
Marcus.
I have
Go
a
on.
pretty good one.
All right.
To start off with. All right. Okay. So, basically, my 3 statements, which 2 of them are true and 1 of them is a lie, is I have been in a forest fire. I have looked into a volcano.
All right.
And I have multiple signatures of famous people.
Oh, that. Coming from you, Marcus, those all work.
You don't have multiple signatures of famous people.
Okay.
I know. I think it's the volcano.
I feel like he's told me.
I feel like he's had an adorable volcano.
When you say you've looked into a volcano, have you looked into its soul, or have you actually looked into the bubbling lava?
I mean, that's up for interpretation. I'm not going into deeper in detail.
All right. Would you reveal which one was a lie?
I mean, who did everyone choose?
I would say it's the last one.
I'm saying signature.
Yeah.
Signature.
Signature, Mr. DC?
I'm saying volcano.
Alright, Mr. DC won. I have indeed
Oh,
never
damn
looked
it.
into a volcano.
Bro, I thought a dormant volcano.
So whose signatures do you have then?
I have signatures on a ski helmet of mine of many famous ski athletes.
So famous Swiss people.
So no. There are some
Mm.
Americans, some I guess all the ones that ski in the World Cup. So I mean they're famous. Like a lot of people know them. It's just a very niche famous area maybe.
Okay. All right. Who wants to go next then? Or should I?
I'm just trying to think of the third one. So
I can't find a lie because you guys know me pretty well.
I'll go then. All right. My first one is I haven't gone out in a week. The second one is I've come close to being stabbed, and the third one is I used to have a dog.
Oh.
I hope for your sake you've been out in the last week. So I'm going to say that's the lie.
Jivon, were you punctured by like an immovable object, or did someone actually try and stab you?
I've come close to being stabbed.
I'm gonna say it's the dog. The dog. The dog.
It's a dog. Me too.
It's a dog. Yeah.
Mr. DC?
He said,
I'm sticking with it because I just hope for your health you have been out. So I'm going for that one.
Well, the lie was I used to have a dog.
Hey!
Get outside.
Little does Mr. DC know that you almost got hit by a car as well, right in front of me.
Yeah, that's fine. Crazy stories. All right, Bob, John, and Mr. DC, it's up to you guys. Who wants to go?
All right. Should I go?
Yeah, go on.
Go for it.
All right. Well, I have lived in India for 7 years. I have done my cast today.
Woohoo!
Hey, it could be the lie.
And I have been stuck in my house for 2 weeks and haven't been outside.
Bang, bang. All right.
So he did his cast today.
I'm going to assume the India is right. Now, when you say you've done your cast today, have you done the experiences, or have you uploaded the evidence?
The lies.
I'm saying the cast is the lie. Cast is the lie
Yeah,
for sure.
the lack of answer would suggest.
You know, yeah,
An open book, bro.
I'm gonna say.
Well, I'm doing my cast right now. Does that count?
He's
Well,
got a
it
point.
does, doesn't it?
He's
You
got a
are
point.
doing
Yeah.
doing your creativity at literally, and it's not
Mhm.
often you get to use this phrase literally as we speak.
Yeah.
But
Ah.
will you do the reflection on it? Will you upload it? Fingers
Of
crossed.
course I will.
All right. So which one was the lie? Wait, I'm gonna say India, just as a.
I'm going to say
No. He lived in India for 7 years. The lie is
he's
whatever.
been inside for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
Yes,
Well-
that is the lie.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yay.
Oh, John and
Mr. DC, have you thought of one?
Yes, I have. I'm
Then
just
fire away.
debating whether it's appropriate.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm going to go for it because
Yeah.
I shared one of these pieces of information with the grade 12s as a leaving gift. So as you've invited me on,
You got our gift early.
Yes.
Let's see.
Okay. So here are my 3 options, and they all have a theme of dancing.
Ooh. All right.
So number 1, I learnt how to ballroom dance while I was at school.
Mhm.
Number 2, I appeared dancing in the background on a TV show.
Okay.
Number 3, for a charity event, I did a podium dance in a gay bar.
Okay, so
Interesting.
they're all
Okay.
they're all
Alright,
involving dancing. Okay.
Okay,
Why
last
would you
one's
do
true.
this to
I feel
difficult.
I'm gonna say because of the just absurdity of the last one, I'm gonna say
Yeah.
the second one is wrong or is a lie.
Yeah,
but
the
last
first
one
one-
is right.
First one's
I'm
believable.
between the
Last
first and
one
second.
is. I would say the second.
The first one was school ballroom dancing
Ballroom
lessons.
dancing.
Second
Yeah.
one was TV appearance dancing in the background.
Yeah.
And the third one was podium dance
In
in
a
a
gay
gay bar.
I don't know.
I would say the second one.
I'm gonna. You know what? Just for the, I'm gonna go with the third one. Dancing. in the
Yeah,
gay-
I'm
yeah.
gonna go for the third one as
I'm saying
well.
number 2 is a lie.
2, Mr. DC.
Okay, well, are you just hoping that the third one is the lie?
I say
Because I can tell you, to prepare for our Leavers Ball and our Christmas Ball at school, we had ballroom dancing lessons. So I learned to ballroom dance at school.
yes.
Okay.
Nice.
I worked in a gay bar in Hong Kong on one of my years off, and got the regular guys asked me to appear in this AIDS fundraiser. So I did this podium dance in quite an amazing outfit. For that, so that is
Nice,
true.
Nice.
What I have not
Yeah.
done
Yeah.
is appear in the background on a TV show dancing.
It's on your
I
bucket
did. I did. When I was in Hong Kong, I signed up for this model agency because they just like Western folk, and we got filmed to appear in the backdrop of a karaoke video. But I've never ever seen if I appeared or not. So number 2 was the lie.
Mm-hmm.
Hey.
All right. Well done. That's pretty good. All right, John, finish us up.
Okay. I've gotten electrocuted.
Okay. Wait, hold on.
I've voluntarily pulled a kid's tooth out because it was wiggling when I was in grade 1. And third thing would be that I've played 3 piano concerts.
Okay. Well, piano, yes, definitely.
Wait, it's gonna be the last one.
I
Wait,
feel
It's
like
gotta
gotta
be the last one.
It's gotta be the first one.
No, it's gotta be. I think it's the
doesn't play
last one.
piano.
So I've
Does
gotten
John play
electrocuted. I
John does
pulled
not play
someone's
piano.
tooth out.
And the first one
I
was
played piano for
He's been
3
electrocuted.
concerts.
what? John, what was the first one again?
Electrocution. I electrocuted myself.
Well,
I think that's true.
as I understand the term electrocution,
It means
you're
you
dead
die.
by the end of the process. So
Yeah.
that has to be a lie.
It was a miracle.
Okay,
I mean,
yeah,
it's
no.
all open to interpretation. Like
You had an
Marcus
electric
said.
shock.
Thank you.
All right.
No,
I'm
I
saying.
got electrocuted. I'm saying I got electrocuted. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that means he got
I either
killed.
got electrocuted, I pulled the kid's tooth out, or I played 3 piano
You
concerts.
you haven't played
played
3
3.
piano cards.
Yeah,
you
you
haven't.
haven't done that.
You
Yeah,
haven't.
Mr.
I'm
DC?
still going with one. I'm going with one.
Okay.
Electrocuting.
Well,
You're
number
not dead.
3 is wrong. I only
Yeah,
played 2
I-
piano
yeah.
concerts.
We know you don't play the piano, John.
No, I played piano for 3 years.
Yeah, but not at concert level.
No, I played 2 concerts.
Oh, okay, so not 3. Okay, we were
Okay.
close
I
enough.
have gotten electrocuted while dealing with LED sets while they were plugged into the wall, and I was cutting them, and I touched loose leads. In grade
Did
1,
did it throw you across the room?
no, thankfully, LEDs do have
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
and it was a miracle that I didn't die, but I stayed afterwards very shocked, and my heart was beeping like
Very
crazy.
shocked.
maybe you just came back to us.
Yes. And-
Some say it's the
John?
reason for my behavior.
okay.
You've
Alright.
had a near-death experience.
And I did
I-
pull a kid's tooth out before.
Oh, that's just too creepy for words.
No, I used to watch Doctors, the show, a lot, and therefore
Oh,
there's
yeah.
this kid who really wanted to pull his tooth out, and then ironically, coincidentally, I watched an episode of that, and I managed to remove his tooth safely
Oh,
using a tissue. Yeah.
sick on the inside.
All right.
I think we've covered enough. I think we've had a lovely game session and talked pretty good about Corona. I think it's time to wrap it up. Thank you so much, Mr. DC,
Thank you so
for
much.
joining us in this amazing.
Anytime.
Thank you. And
been a
this is a
pleasure.
sign out from me. Have a lovely week and goodbye, and see you next week.
Stay safe.
Stay
Bye.
safe. Stay inside. Bye.
Stay home.